Good morning. Yes, you are all set and ready to start.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, all. Happy May. Happy to see that we aren't seeing any rain outside and the sun is coming out, but we'll see what that does later on. Let me begin by saying this is the West Hartford Public Safety Committee meeting. This committee meeting will be available for live viewing on the WHCI YouTube channel. This is a virtual meeting, and today is Wednesday, May 7th, and the time is 8 a.m. And I will recognize everyone in our virtual meeting. I am Carol Anderson Blanks, the Public Safety Chair. I see our Town Manager, Rick Ledwith, our committee members, which is Councilor Tiffany McGinnis and Councilor Alberto Cortez. Mayor Sherry Cantor is on. We have Chief Priest and Chief Vernon Riddick. We also have AC Riccabon, AC Tara, AC Silver, AC Grimaldi. I'm sure I have it. And I think, is that it this morning? Yeah, I think that's it. If anybody is on the screen and I didn't see them, please holler. All right, we will go ahead and get started. Calling the meeting to order. And the first item is approval of the minutes from our meeting held on Thursday, April 3rd. May I have a motion to
So
receive
moved.
and a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is passed. All right, we will now go to our business items. Communication. And I'll turn it over to our town manager, Mr. Rick Ledwith, to update us on any communications.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Something just came up this morning, Madam Chair, and I didn't have a chance to speak with you, but just wanted to inform the committee that we received an inquiry very recently expressing concern about the town's lack of a dog leash law. And certainly understand the importance of this issue to residents, but wanted to bring that up with the committee. What we could do is research leash laws in other Connecticut municipalities to get a better understanding of best practices and potential approaches to the issue. So we would work with our police department and animal control office, and if it was okay with the committee, we could share these findings at our next public safety committee meeting next month. So wanted to run that by the committee and see if that was something that you thought would be something we could work on over the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Do I hear any objections? Okay, so we can go ahead and put that into play and look to hear more at our next committee meeting.
Very good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Following. Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. We will now move on to our staff reports. And I believe Chief Priest and his team is up first this morning.
All right. Good morning, Madam Chair, everybody on the virtual meeting this morning. Greg Priest, Fire Chief here. So we do have a nice lengthy written report submitted for you. That's what happens when we go a couple of months without discussing all the things that the fire department is up to, but that is available for your viewing. Touch a few things. First, some quick recognition for our elected officials and our town manager coming through the budget season. I know that's a tough time of year for you, lots of difficult decisions, but we always appreciate your support, both in words and in action. We had a promotional ceremony the other day. Several of you in attendance appreciate that as well, recognizing the successes of some of our newer officers and a new hire. Technically, we've just recognized them in a promotional process. Pleased also today to report that we finalized the hiring process for a new part-time staff assistant replacing Sue Bedford, who retired. So Melanie DePamphilis will be joining us. She has a very long history of being in the fire service, but working in administrative positions. And we're looking forward to her starting a little bit in a few weeks. So that'll be a great addition for Chief Grimaldi's operation and office. With a mixture of happiness and sadness. So our EMS officer, Lieutenant Rocco Lodato, is going to be returning back to a line position. So we really thank him for his service as our EMS officer, but he's also being replaced by a great guy with the name of Bill Shappert, who's an apparatus operator. So he'll be joining our meeting shortly, and I look forward to seeing our EMS program continue to flourish under his leadership. As was talked about at our promotional ceremony, and even I believe during the budget, we certainly had our share of fires over the last month or so. One of the most significant being on Dayton. Just wanted to acknowledge that was a fairly significant fire with some really good tactical decisions, which reduced the spread of it. But as I talk about fires, I'm usually thinking about our response and how well did we do. But I would never, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that we should always be thinking about the people who are losing either property or things like that. They're very traumatic events. You lose your personal property. So to stop the fire quickly and save what we can is also just as important as making sure that everybody is safe. We will be doing a post-incident neighborhood outreach today on Taylor Road. So we're continuing that program to help reassure our residents that they have the things that they can do to reduce the likelihood of fires and to make them feel supported. In terms of some notable projects and activity this month, I thought it would be helpful. I just had an opportunity to review a new document from Melissa Marquis, our medical resilience coordinator. She's working on an access and functional needs document that's really reaching out to our most vulnerable residents to make sure that they have some information in a way that they can consume it to be able to help themselves be prepared for emergencies. And we're also working in partnership with social services to make sure our fire personnel know about the value and power of our social services folks and how they can access those services for residents. I was pleased to hear that we've also been doing some outreach with our school nurses, both in private and public school. I was being briefed the other day in a staff meeting about an unannounced drill about a potential chainsaw accident at one of our local private schools. I know, right? Exactly. I just saw counselor shock. So that was pretty much what I looked like in the meeting when I heard about this. But they did a really great job in terms of preparing the staff ahead of time. And then when they ran the unannounced drill, it really showed the value of that prevention and preparedness. So just a quick shout out to Andrew Eccles, our community support officer, and others who were out there trying to prepare for emergencies and help the responders ahead of time with those type of drills. We continue a conversation with the schools about advancing the level of our EMR program to EMT. It's an ongoing discussion, but I'm inspired to continue to have those conversations with our leadership in the schools. Chief Silver, Deputy Chief Pacheco, and I were down yesterday talking about retention and recruiting at the statewide level. Very blessed that our organization, has a great reputation. We seem to attract a lot of qualified candidates and keep them as well. But certainly, we are watching a reduction or some pressures on the fire service, and we're glad to be part of those statewide efforts. And then just another shout out to Chief Grimaldi. As many of you are aware, the Fire Marshal's office is involved in ensuring our community is safe, even when we're discussing construction projects. So there was a lot of activity this month in making sure that we were communicating, about fire safety in the construction of buildings. So that was a lot of work in his office, especially in the context of having other responsibilities for the plan reviews and inspections that are going on and the investigations as a result of the fires. As I kind of wrap it up here, upcoming, I would expect that the council would probably see that functional and access needs document outbound through some of our public sources shortly. That'll be coming out from Melissa soon in partnership with the health district. Looking forward to partnering with the police department and others for our upcoming first responder days at our high schools. Very popular events, bringing attention to public safety. That'll be coming on. We're continuing a discussion about our efforts to replace our training tower that's going. And then lastly, Celebrate WeHa is going to be right around the corner. So our emergency management and operations folks are working hard in collaboration with our stakeholders to make sure that we are ready and prepared. And that concludes my report. I'd be glad to take any questions.
Thank you, Chief Priest. Are there any questions from the committee members or other counselors? And I also want to acknowledge that I see Counselor Walters has also joined the meeting.
No questions from me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Chief Priest, for a wonderful report and the outstanding job that you and your team and the crew continues to deliver. Great services, especially I want to nod to the team for all of the work that they've done last month, and that's certainly continue to do so. As I was reading the report, I said, wow, you all had a pretty busy month last month, putting out fire after fire, whether it's car fire, house fire, property fire, or also lending assistance on the highway as well. So just important to acknowledge that and the work that you all continue to do. Thank you for your service and your entire team. A huge lift. Thank you. All right, I'll turn it over to Chief Riddick and his team for the PD report.
Good morning. You guys hear me okay? Thumbs up.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Madam Chair, good to see you. Everyone else. I also want to echo the sentiments for the work. Again, we have a lot of fun between the PD and the FD, but they've had some very serious calls for service and very, very busy. They've handled it with the utmost of professionalism and really did a good job. So from the PD, Chief Priest and your entire team and all the line firefighters, well done. I'll provide more detail in next month's report, but I also want to give kudos to the fire department for a very serious incident that occurred last evening at a location in town. It could have ended up not so well. They had to force entry. There was a weapon involved. There was a person there, a domestic situation, and his team of firefighters did the right thing, exited, got us in there, the PD, and it worked out very, very well. We were able to make an arrest. Again, I will have more detail during next month's meeting, but again, Chief Priest, AC Silver, and everyone else, well done. Great job how you handled that call last night, and very good work in the last couple of weeks. You guys have been extremely busy, so I appreciate that, as well as the rest of the PD members. Really quick, our motor vehicle stats from January of this year through April 30th, we had 3,414 motor vehicle stops. On the same period in 2024, there were 3,621. As I mentioned last time, we're still playing catch up year to date. We had some very severe weather events early in the year, and at some point we always anticipated leveling off, but I do think we're going to continue to do an upward trajectory, and by the end of the year, our numbers should match or exceed what we did last year. We also submitted a written report. I won't go through everything, but I'll just highlight two really quick, important issues that came up. And April 23rd, we had a check washing incident. If you folks remember, that was really hot and heavy for a while. Really good work that was done. We have an officer that's assigned to the United States Postal Service Inspector's Office. When I say that, on a part-time basis. So they're a detective that works for us. They went to the certification and training, so they're part of a task force that deals with these things. And a suspect from a parole was identified and taken into custody, and they were charged with forgery in the first degree. Really good work between our detective, RPD, United States Postal Service, to bring that arrest to fruition. And another good arrest on April 18th. One of our K9 officers was able to conduct a motor vehicle stop with a vehicle that had misuse of plates. This vehicle had previously fled from police on a couple of different occasions, so it was a really good job to get this vehicle stopped this time. 3 individuals were inside the vehicle. The driver and the passenger was a convicted felon, were arrested for narcotics charges and weapons violations. The passenger was charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession with narcotics with intent to sell, possession of a weapon and motor vehicle, and criminal possession of a firearm, and was held with a $250,000 bond. And the driver was charged with misuse of plates, illegal operation of a vehicle under suspension, interfering with a police officer, and possession of a controlled substance, as well as possession with intent to sell. So really good work by our officers as well to keep the town of West Hartford safe and putting themselves in jeopardy. And I also want to acknowledge in the call from last night, the PD response to that situation to assist the firefighters and again bring it to a safe resolution. That being said, I'm brief and to the point. I do want to recognize and just announce, I think many of you have seen the flyer already. DESP, the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, is leading a hate crime discussion, and they decided for the first time to roll this out in West Hartford. It'll be tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. through 7:30, so I hope you're able to make it. Some of the people who'll be speaking on these issues would be the Commissioner of DESP, Ron L. Higgins, the Chief State's Attorney, Patrick Griffin, yours truly, and a reconfigured Connecticut State Police Hate Crimes Investigation Unit. They have reorganized and reconfigured that unit, and they are rolling it out. So it could be a great opportunity. Well, it should be a great opportunity. Well, let me be more positive. It will be a great opportunity to ask questions, to hear about what the state is doing, our partnerships as they continue to go forward and move and take the Department of Emergency Service Public Protection in a much different direction and more proactive. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Riddick. Are there any questions for the chief? I'm going to scroll through my screen once again. Okay, I don't see any questions. All right, so we're moving through this meeting quite quickly. Chief Riddick, I have a quick question, and it's probably just clarification on my part. With your report, I believe you mentioned in one of those stops, criminal possession with a firearm, and I think you said possession with a firearm.
Possession in a motor vehicle, 2 separate charges. So one is having a possession of a firearm in a motor vehicle, and one is illegal possession of the firearm. And what that means is that individual was a convicted felon who was not allowed to possess it, as opposed to a possession of a firearm when someone doesn't have a permit.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And
You're
thank you for your report as well, and all the work that the PD does for the town of West Hartford and keeping us safe. Yes, this is a public safety committee meeting, but I'm just so pleased to hear when you report out the number of stops that our officers are making, and when they do make those stops, all the time there is at least a firearm in the vehicle or some type of narcotics or somebody has a felon. So I just want to continue to shout that out and say thank you for all the work that you and your team continue to do each and every day in protecting us.
Thank
All
you.
right. With that said, we will move to the next agenda item, which is future agenda items. And I believe we all agreed that we would pursue the dog leash information and research and data collection for the next meeting, or perhaps the meeting after that, because we want to make sure that you have ample time to get the information that we need. All
Yes,
right.
thank you, Madam Chair. One other thing we would add to the agenda for next month would be the Civilian Police Review Board Annual Report. So we'll likely invite a member of the CPRB the meeting to present the report.
Okay.
Thank
Very
you.
good. You're quite welcome. Okay, so we will move to adjourn. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
And a second?
Second.
All right. So all in favor, aye, and we stand adjourned at 8:20. I give you so much time back to have a pleasant day and continue to be safe and watch each other's back. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.